When you want to rotate an object in a 3D scene, your mind will instantly think of Euler angle rotations, which means picking an axis in an angle, and that's it, you're pretty much done with your rotation. Well, unfortunately, things can be a little more complicated, and here is why. Let's try to apply a rotation about each axis. So nothing unusual here, the rotations work perfectly. Now let's make a 90-degree Z rotation, then rotate around the two other axes. And again, everything works fine. So it turns out that Euler rotations are fine, so make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Well, not too fast, let's do a 90-degree Y rotation this time, and again let's rotate about the X axis, and as expected the rotation still works fine. Now before I apply a Z rotation, I want you to pause the video and try to guess how the rotation will look like, and without cheating I want you to tell me in the comments section if you guessed it right. And as you can see, the box is rotating around the X axis instead of Z, so rotating around X or Z gives the same result. This loss of 1 degree of freedom is called gimbal lock. By the way, things can get more stranger than this, so if I make a 90-degree X rotation, the Y and Z rotations get flipped. So what is going on here, and what is this phenomenon of gimbal lock? Let's first understand what is a gimbal. A gimbal is a ring that is suspended so it can rotate about an axis. Gimbals are typically nested one within another to accommodate rotation about multiple axes. Essentially, each one of the rings represents a rotation about one axis, and you have to keep in mind that the parenting relationship between them makes the children affected by their parent ring. Having said that, gimbal lock occurs when two rings get aligned. To see that in action, open Blender, add the rotation gizmo, and change global to gimbal. As you see, now we have the rotation rings. The parenting relationship between them isn't obvious though, but we can tell from this drop-down list that the Z-axis is the grandparent and X is the grandchild, and that's from the order of the axis. That said, changing the order actually affects the rotation, however, it doesn't solve the problem, and I'll show you that in a moment, but for now, let's see how the alignment occurs. So what I'm going to do here is set the Y rotation to 90 degree, and notice that the blue ring disappeared. Well, it didn't because it's aligned with the red one, and as you can see, now there is no difference between the rotations around X and Z. Back to the parenting relationship. Before we dive into the solution, using Three.js, I'm going to create an instance of the Euler class, set an initial rotation, so 0, 0, 0, and then the order of the axis. Then we'll apply this to the object rotation. This setup won't change anything as X, Y, Z is the default order, so let's change it to X, Z, Y for instance. Now if we test this out, of course the first rotation isn't affected. However, if we rotate 90 degree around the Z axis, then rotate around the two other axes, we'll eventually get gimbal locked. I think I've talked enough about the problem, so now time to discover the solution. Quaternions. In a nutshell, a quaternion is a 4D representation of an object's orientation. But how do we use it, you might be asking. Here is an example. If I apply a 90 degree Y rotation on the right monkey, it gets oriented towards the right side of the scene. And again, if I do another 90 degree rotation around the Z axis this time, we expect to get it oriented towards the top, but that doesn't happen. So what I'm going to do now is apply the same sequence of rotations to the left monkey, but using quaternions instead. That said, let's start with the first rotation. First, I'm going to create an instance of the quaternion class, then call the setFromAxisAngle method, which takes two arguments. The first one is the normalized vector that represents the axis we want to rotate the object around. 0, 1, 0 here is the y-axis. The second argument is the amount of rotation we want to apply. Then I'll simply call the applyQuaternion method from the object and set the quaternion we've just created as an argument. And as you can see, we got the first rotation sequence done. Now let's apply the second one. So I'm simply going to copy and paste these lines, change the variable name, and set 001 as the axis of rotation, the z-axis more precisely. And there we go, now we got the expected orientation, no gimbal lock, no unexpected results. In addition to what we've seen, rotation animations are also affected by gimbal lock. That said, let's animate the right cube using the usual Euler rotations. The box is rotating, but notice that the animation is unpredictable and it looks like the box is rotating around the 3 axes. Now let's apply a rotation animation around the same axis to the left box using Quaternions. And as you see, the animation looks consistent. Another awesome thing about Quaternions is that we can use them to rotate objects around other objects. If you remember in an old video where I made a solar system, to make a planet rotate around the sun, I had to create an object at the same position of the sun. Then I added the planet as a child to it and I rotated the object. Another way to do that without having to create an object is to use Quaternions. So let's make the second cube rotate around the origin of the scene. To do that, as usual, I'm going to create a quaternion with 0, 1, 0 as the axis of rotation, and then I'm going to apply that quaternion to the position of the cube. And there we go. Furthermore, we can do the same thing with the camera to make a cool camera animation. A couple of very useful functions among many others that I want to end this video with are rotateTowards and slerp. rotateTowards rotates the current quaternion to another quaternion. The first argument here is the target quaternion, and the second one is the step, which is the fraction of rotation that needs to be done at a time to reach the targeted quaternion. Then we have slerp, which is another variation of the previous function, but with a smoother animation as it handles interpolation between the initial quaternion and the target one. So the first argument is the target quaternion, and the second one represents the alpha, which needs to be a value from the range of 0 to 1. At 0 we have 0 rotation, at 1 we have the final rotation. And this is it for real this time, so make sure to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.